From boss fight architecture to knowing an enemy class just by their accent, here are 5 rules every gamer will understand. I've made a lot of videos about how games make you smart, how they improve your cognitive abilities in ways that make your friends' neural pathways look like the slow lane at your local swimming pool in comparison. But it's important to look at the ways that games have trained us to think in certain ways. How we can sit with a muggle, non-gamer, and have them ask how we knew to do a certain thing when there was no prompt on screen. This is all down to the rules that games make us live by, and chances are that we don't even know that we know. Oh, if you're new to the channel, welcome! And if you want more videos just like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to make sure you never miss new features. For now though, here are the 5 rules that every gamer understands. Our first entry is something I've pithily called the danger scale. It might sound like music that'll make your head explode, but it's actually shorthand for that instinctive understanding you have about threat in games. One look and you can usually tell how likely it is that something will kill you. And the cool thing here is that we understand the danger scale even when it's total nonsense. Here's an example. We know that splash damage from an explosive weapon usually won't kill us immediately. And indeed, if it did, we'd probably think the game was being unfair. Most big weapons in games warn us before they strike with long, exaggerated wind-ups. But the moment that we see a dog running towards us from a distance, we know we'll probably be dead if it reaches us. We immediately prioritise that threat. And the greatest danger of all, of course, are the hounds that explode when they reach you. Bad dog. This leads to some wonderful inconsistencies, like tanks being somehow less dangerous than doggos. But the interesting thing here is that if the game is designed well, we comprehend the threat even if it doesn't make any sense in real life. Yes, dogs can be dangerous, but significantly less so than artillery. But if the game has sent us all the right signals, we'll instinctively take out the most dangerous enemies first. There are obvious ways of doing this, like making some mobs move faster than others, and a well-timed cutscene or effective foreshadowing can highlight exactly how dangerous an upcoming enemy is. This is done to great effect in the original Metal Gear Solid. It's a harrowing experience when you first fight the cyborg ninja because you've already seen how dangerous he is.
It looks like they were cut by some type of blade.
So somehow, a guy in a zoot suit ends up being far more frightening than the literal tank you fight in the same game. In the same way, games are great at making us do things we'd never dream of considering otherwise. Things like, shooting dogs. And you can hit the link on screen right now to watch a video about exactly that. And there's a real dog in it. To indicate my next point, we're going to do a little psychology test. How do you feel about that barrel? Yes, that one, the one I'm accelerating towards. And yes, quite lovely. You knew as well as I did that that barrel was bad news. Unlike the grey one above, which you probably didn't even notice, it was red. And red, by and large, in life and nature, means danger. Do not crash into with your head. Colours then play a huge role in our day-to-day game playing, and we don't tend to have to ask what's good and what's bad. We just know. There are set colours for collectibles and colours for items that we just shouldn't touch. And it's something that we've known from a very early age. Ultimate Doom is a great example here. No matter how old you were when you first played, you knew that those glowing fireballs were for dodging, and that chances are that going over the green glowing toxic waste to pick up bonus armour will hurt. It's our knowledge of colour in games then that's manipulated by titles like Limbo. Not only do we feel unsafe because there's a giant spider, we feel like we don't know what's going to happen because one of our most important senses has been taken away. Our innate knowledge of games isn't just as simple as fire bad, tree pretty though. We have a built-in awareness of how things in game worlds should look in general. Lights point in the direction of safety, and collectibles have a glowy hue that's never going to hurt you. One thing that looks don't indicate though is whether you can pat the dog, or any other animals. For that, you'll just have to check as you go and judge the development team accordingly. everyone has their own personal thoughts on boss battles. Regardless of whether you love or hate the moment where games pretty much scream the word video games as they wheel out a mega enemy, there are always very clear signs of an approaching battle. We've all been there. The first indicator in that pre-boss buff room, an otherwise unremarkable place that just happens to have loads of things you've been desperately searching for. And if you're playing a game that's been stingy with the ammo and health so far, hello Resident Evil, there's no clearer indication that things are about to go wrong than a sudden increase in generosity. It's kind of like getting a suspiciously good present from a colleague who hates you. It naturally puts you a bit on edge. You know that this is the moment you save your game and go to bed, or head through the next door and spend the next hour getting squashed. And then there's the arena itself. As gamers, we're bred to be suspicious of wide open spaces. When you step into an expanse in a game, you never think, how lovely space. Instead, you look around to work out whereabouts the warehouse-sized boss is probably going to appear from. It's enough to make anyone who plays games agoraphobic.
That costume looks a little big. I thought you had better taste than that.
On the upside, there's nothing quite like the pure relief of post-boss fight safety, an accord between player and developer, the sanctity of which should never, ever be broken. People will tell you that there's no such thing as things being too good to last. These optimists will tell you that life is a parade of bottomless refills and endless chicken wings. You, however, know different. Thanks to video games, you know that some things are too good to last. Or at least you know that you finding a well-positioned turret with limited ammunition is no brilliant coincidence, but a game politely waving at you before things turn nasty when a horde descends. In order to keep you feeling challenged and entertained, games need to mix things up. But they also need to prepare you for what's coming. No one wants hundreds of enemies to appear if you're only armed with a baseball bat and a brave smile. Hence, we know that if we see a turret, it's no mere exciting addition to the decor, but a clear signpost of what's to come. In a game development balancing act though, it can't make you feel too powerful for too long, or you'd stop feeling like you might die at any minute. Yet, despite this complex balance of superpowers, we understand the nuanced rules and the control in place to make sure that we're never too OP. I talked about architecture earlier, but the content and loot within is equally important. Bonus health and ammo? You need to be prepared, but just not too prepared. You know that you're still going to need to be sparing with the bullets. And then there's what happens when you're too powerful, when you're ruling the roost, dual-wielding assault rifles and killing everything in sight. It's time for the old forced weakness trick, and you can see it a mile off. You're near the start of the game, yet somehow armed with every available weapon and skill. What a better time then to strip you of everything you hold dear and destroy your beautifully crafted miniature city at the same time. I'll never forgive you for this, Ubisoft. Never.
It's the Borgia!
How did we not see this?
And finally, every gamer has the power to look at any NPC in any game and instantly know what they'll bring to your party. Petite, furtive and threatening, that'll be your rogue. Lumbering, slow-witted and boxy, say hello to your tank. There's probably an analogy there featuring me and Matt, but I'll let you join the dots. I'm being flippant, but this is a real skill that you probably didn't know you had, and it dictates the choices you make in a game. You could give your big guy a ranged weapon in a game like Dragon Age, for example, but somewhere in the recesses of your gaming soul, you'd know it was just wrong. This is partly down to good game design. The way a character moves, talks and stands should tell you a lot about how they play, but it's also down to the years of experience you've accumulated playing games.
Yeah. Everyone knows that part.
This sort of instinctive design also informs boss battles, something that Matt's talked about in a separate video, and this is especially useful when it comes to working out your strategy before you've even fired a shot or swung a sword. And it's a rule that goes even further. Chances are that you'll know loads about your character just from their accent. Celtic British accents, such as Welsh or Irish, probably mean you're listening to an elf.
Oh, don't be sad. I still like you very much.
Scottish and Northern English accents are often used for dwarves, and plummy English accents are used for villains, wizards and, well, villainous wizards.
Ah, the child of Baal has awoken.
If it's a US accent, you're probably the protagonist.
Now this time we're gonna mix it up. I'll defend this area, while you dudes go kick the shit out of that statue over there.
This might all seem obvious, but it's interesting when you break it down. The easiest way that a game can impart some sense of race and regionality is by using dialects we already recognise.
There are exceptions to this rule, but if anything, they're proof it's so ubiquitous, which is why I probably remind you of Carillion from Vermintide. Well, it's that or the ears. So that's the 5 rules that everyone understands about video games without ever really being taught. Magical! Let us know if we've missed any in the comments below, drop us a like if you've enjoyed this video, and subscribe to Logitech G for more features just like this one.